after, actually. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the North Oakland Transportation Authority regular board meeting. Today is Thursday, January 20th, in 2022. Happy New Year to everybody. We're meeting at the NODA offices. So with that, I'll ask for a roll call. Joe?
Mike McDonald.
Present.
Chris Barnett absent. Bruce Pearson absent. Ed Brinkfield.
Present.
Mike Flood.
Present.
Ken Van Forty.
Here.
Margaret Payne.
Here.
Tanya Waffle.
Here.
Ann Kelch.
Here.
Lori Boudreau.
Present.
Roberta Halbowski is not here. We have one.
Very good, thank you. Do we have a vet? Ed, will you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Board has before it an agenda. If you've reviewed it, any changes? If none, the motion to approve the agenda as presented would be in order.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
With that.
Flood.
Oh, that's Joe.
That's Joe's.
Joe. Get it, Joe?
Yep.
So, okay.
Thanks.
All right. Okay then, next item is approval of the minutes from our December meeting. Are there any questions, changes, or corrections on those minutes? If none, a motion to approve them would be in order.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Support.
Okay, any questions on the motion? None, all those in favor of approving the minutes of the December meeting from 2021, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, minutes are approved. Director's report.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas season. So the total rides for 2021 were 34,619, which is up 28% from 2020. We're still down 17% from 2019. Reflecting on 2021 for NODA, I'm so grateful for the blessings we've received and those that we've provided to our residents, and I'm looking forward to 2022. Rod Charles contacted me about getting the trolley started a few weeks ago. I told him that the board would not be in favor of NODA paying for it, but could possibly help with the oversight and operations of it if he could find a way to pay for it. He contacted Smart, who had a trolley in their lot that was for Troy, but they aren't using it anymore. It's been sitting there for 2 years, actually. Smart contacted me to say that NODA could use the trolley at no cost, but we would have to put it on our insurance. The Oxford DDA and the Lake Orion DDA wanted to try out in February for a Stronger Together event on Thursdays to promote the businesses for the Ice Fest and potentially keeping it going. And this has kind of changed. It might potentially be Saturdays also now. So the DDAs have agreed to pay for any costs related to the trolley, including the insurance, the driver wages, fuel, repairs. Kelly from the Oxford DDA is here, will be presenting tonight, and also Brad is here. So that's later on the agenda. The newsletter is underway. I just haven't had a chance to finish it. I'm going to enlist one of our dispatchers to help me finish that, along with doing some work with Facebook, et cetera, that I seem to not have time for. Auburn Hills has been out a few times, and they are possibly interested in joining NODA. They are currently with Smart, and they receive fixed routes, mostly to Great Lakes Crossing and connector service, similar to our service, which is door to door. With the Smart service, they had 5,000 rides last year, and they are unsure of how many rides they gave to Auburn Hills residents via the fixed route system because it passes through different communities. But going to Great Lakes Mall is their primary hub. They give $1.5 million a year for those rides through Smart. That's $1 mil, and they're looking at various options. They want to establish possibly a new millage on their own or join NODA's millage. They were supposed to have a transportation committee meeting last Monday, but it got postponed due to COVID. So it's now it's been pushed back to February. So I will update you at the next meeting to see what has gone on with that. And The Nona millage is going to be on our ballot this August 2022, and the ballot language needs to be decided. I've included the past millage language in the packet for your review. It needs to be filed with the county by April 26th, and it has to be approved by the township's boards before that. I did complete all of the non-urban grants, which are operational and capital. Requested $365,000 in capital grants, and also operational grants of $435,000 for JARC and $151,000 for New Freedom, and $55,000 for Mobility Manager. Dispatch software is still in the deciding phase at SMART. We're hoping to hear soon, and the generator is on back order until April. Nigel, one of our drivers, gave me a proposal to have a flag installed outside of the building, and I've attached the proposal for your review. I think it would be nice to have, but I also like to get some landscaping done, because we really never did after we moved in. But I think that would be a good time to kind of do some landscaping and potentially put this flagpole. And we also are receiving a donation that will cover all of the costs and probably more from a parent of a driver who passed away, and they also used our service. So they wanted the funds to be used for something permanent, and we thought a flagpole would be a great idea. Our next board meeting is scheduled for February 17th, but I have a procedure on the 16th, so I'll be home working for a week, so I'd like to be able to possibly reschedule that to the week before, if possible, if that works for everybody, February 10th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. All right, at this point in the meeting,
Mike, I've got
oh, I'm sorry.
a question on the,
Director Sherwood.
on the trolley. You said we could use it? Does that mean we wouldn't own it? It would be still theirs?
No, so it's similar to majority of our vehicles, where we are using their vehicles. It's not titled in our name. Majority of our vehicles are titled to SMART. It's vehicles that we get via grants, and so they're basically like a lease. We don't pay for them.
It would be a free lease.
It's a free lease. We just use them, and then we have to give it back. So if we decide we don't want the trolley, we could just give it back. I mean, it's not anything on us. It's not costing us other than the insurance that we have to put on it.
Okay, next question.
Yes.
On the Auburn Hills.
Yes.
Let me join us. Will it affect our millage at all? Would we have to bump up our millage to help cover them?
This is also on the new business. We can discuss the Auburn Hills proposal a little bit later, because that's, there's a lot of what-ifs with that. And I think the board probably needs to discuss a lot of things before that, so.
The last question
Yeah.
is, the millage was given, I can't remember the start date, but it was through 2023.
Right,
But we're putting the millage on now, is that to cover 2024 on?
yes, exactly.
Okay.
2024 through 28.
Okay. That's it?
All right, thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I move to receive and file the records report.
Support.
He outran me.
Okay.
I wait for you.
That should breathe, man.
Okay, we have a motion to receive and file the director's report. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of receiving and filing the report, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, report's filed. Public comments, anybody? I don't think we have any. You're welcome guest. Anything you want to say at this time? Okay, all right. We'll move on then to approval of our financial activity. We have the informational part and the approval of the bills in the amount.
Of $34,851.94.
I move to approve the bills for NODA for $34,851.94.
Support. What?
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, we have a roll call, please?
McDonald?
Yes.
Springfield?
Yes.
Flood?
Yes.
Van Portfleet?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes.
Wappel?
Yes.
Couch?
Yes.
Burjo?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried, bills are paid. We'll move on to old business.
Are we gonna do the financial report?
Okay, you want to receive and file it?
I move to receive and file the financial report as presented.
Support.
Okay, if I can have it, you did.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for receiving and filing the financial activity. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of receiving and filing the financial activity report, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, the reports are filed. We have no old business. Moving on to new business. First item of business is the discussion that we've just had, information from our director's report. It's regarding the DDA trolley. Lynn, I guess I'd like to have your, take the lead on this, where you see this going and how it operates. And feel free to call on the
Sure.
DDA reps here as well if need be.
Yes, so like I said in my report, that the city of Troy had this trolley available. They dropped it off 2 years ago, so, and it's been sitting there for 2 years, which was my main concern, is what shape is this trolley in. And they've taken this week, and Madonna has confirmed that it's passed all inspections and it's roadworthy. So that was my big first question. It needs a new muffler, which it's currently getting right now. So the DDA, Rod Charles was interested in doing these events, primarily just to see if this is like a pilot program, is what kind of how he wants to test it out for. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it was originally supposed to start on Thursdays, which is going to be like a Stronger Together, kind of combining the Orion and Oxford communities, promoting their businesses. You know, I think the businesses need a little help, and this I think would be a boost to both communities. And I think the trolley is kind of going between them is a great symbol of the two communities working together. And I think that's why these DDA reps are here. And our hopes is, if this works and we have a good following, that we can continue it going forward, possibly. I know that Ron was talking about Thursdays and Saturdays. Is that what?
Yeah, so right now we're at Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursday nights primarily are in support of Ice Fest in February. And both Lake Orion and Oxford have been working together to get sponsors for ice sculptures that will have placed outside of the businesses. And really how this came about is Oakland County, Main Street actually reached out to us and asked us to partner together in support of our businesses. Unfortunately, with all the events that happened, our businesses downtown are really struggling. Not only is fourth quarter usually the strongest for them, but they really, after COVID and construction, were looking at fourth quarter to kind of bring them through first and second, and they really struggled. So we said, okay, we in Oxford don't usually even do anything first quarter from an event standpoint. So Lake Orion was gracious enough to say, hey, come on board with us. Ice Fest was super successful last year. We'll tie you in. So our teams have been working together every day to every other day, talking together and trying to work this out. Rod had this awesome idea about a trolley. And so we had been looking for one for about a month, and the prices were just, sky high if we could even get one here. And we were on a call with Oakland County, and Tim Colbeck said, why don't you reach out to Madonna at Smart? And we're like, okay, well, it just happens that they had one sitting there. And they were happy for us to use it as long as it was in good operation. So that's when we started to work with Lynn and back and forth. And I think we've come up with something really great where we can run it Thursdays and Saturdays for 2 months as a pilot program. Our DDA has already approved all the bills and the funding to go forth with this. But we also have had some awesome sponsorship from the Ice Fest that's going to help us to pay for it as well. Oakland County then said, if you love this pilot program, can we help you for the rest of the year? So right now they're trying to take on the funding for the remainder of the year so that this could be long-term. Whether that's adding another day if we see the interest, and we have the buy-in from the business owners, and I'm just seeing some excitement come back, which is just really awesome to see, because it's been pretty flat since November, so.
And are you looking into the app potentially?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, so we're looking into the app as well. Lynn had this great idea, there's a plug-in for the trolley that somebody can bring up the app on their phone and they can track it to see where it's at. So instead of waiting out in this cold, which we don't wanna do, we want it to be cold because we want the sculptures to stay, but we don't because we want people to wait for the trolley. So this app would allow people to see where it is on that route between Lake Orion and Oxford, and then be able to pick up the trolley from there. So I think it would be definitely awesome, and the board approved everything already. So if we, have your buy-in and can utilize the drivers, that would be wonderful. And I think it's really good for all of us, right? It's great. It's a great story to tell.
It is. And I did get a quote from the insurance. The annual cost is under $2,500, like just under $2,500 a year. So it's a lot cheaper than I think I thought it was going to be. So that was encouraging. Now, Rod had said about doing a contract between the DDAs and NODA to say that you would pay for everything. Do you
Yeah.
have it in writing that from the board's
Yep,
approval?
so we
or-
already have approval from the board in our meeting minutes approved on Monday night. So
Okay.
happy to sign anything that we need to and, just say that we're gonna pay for whatever it is.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Generally with,
Comment real quick. Did
oh.
anybody get Chris Barnett's email today?
No.
Yes.
Just a few minutes ago? DDA is off the hook. You got a donation to cover.
Oh,
He did get it, I know he was
oh.
working on it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Amen,
No,
yes,
I did not
Jesus,
see
okay,
it.
that's awesome.
That's great.
Does anybody have it with them?
Oh.
I thought you
I
did.
feel like I'm the last person
No,
to know like
you're
that.
too busy.
The email was extremely informative,
Okay,
and you guys would be very pleased with what he said.
okay,
Okay, that's great.
that's awesome, what a blessing.
So really that leaves us with dotting the i's and crossing the t's.
That's all, because he's got all the
So-
costs covered.
Well, we need to get, we're gonna need to have some i's dotted and t's crossed as far as, I don't know if you have something between Oxford and Orion DDAs, or if you're gonna do them separately with NODA.
So what we would look to do is probably, Oxford could take on one contract so that we're not having to do two contracts with NODA and make it more difficult than it is. We have all of the, we're paying half and half, so that's not a concern. But if you just wanted one DDA to sign it, we could do that.
We generally send out, like this, I treat this as a special
Yes,
event,
you should
so if
read
we
it.
do like a special event to take, like for shuttles, we'll do a special event and
Yeah.
bill the cities for that. So this would be a similar thing, I would just send out an invoice, a special event invoice, they would sign and tell me, then we would bill them for the amount of hours and the gas and the fuel, and obviously the insurance would be part of that, there would be a new one, but I see this as a pretty simple, just billing them after it's
Read the
done.
email and you'll be surprised what he said.
Oh, okay. Oh,
If
go
you'd
ahead.
like to or I
Joe.
can, it doesn't matter.
Please share.
Okay. He's apologizing for not being able to attend the meeting because he's in DC today, but he did want to share his support for the trolley pilot program. And he's stating, as many of you know, I championed this idea a few years ago. Can you guys hear me okay with the mask on?
With-
And for several reasons, we were not successful. I'm excited, in parentheses, and grateful that Rod and Kelly have brought this back to life. I think it's a great idea to support both business and communities, build camaraderie, and bring awareness to NODA, all while not diminishing NODA services and at no cost to NODA. Yay. A true win-win also. I have found a sponsor who has agreed to fund all the costs of the pilot program. So that will not cost the DDA anything either. And then he's just stating, let me know if you have questions, see you next meeting, parentheses, or sooner. So that's basically it.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
awesome.
That's great.
Okay, so, yes, Ken.
Well, I just wanted to, I know Joe and I were talking, and it's been a long time in discussion. I think you were saying Phineas Payne or something like that originally suggested this, like
Pat Pacino.
Pat Ficino,
She was
6 or 7 years ago.
Wow.
At the beginning of
It's
this
longer
whole,
than that.
this whole trolley idea. But it's been talked about for a long time, And I had a couple concerns that I talked to Rod Charles about. I'm like, well, you know, the pilot program's gonna be February and March, and what will happen during the summer, because people go on vacations, and so on and so forth. And he said, oh, no, Grosse Pointe has 2 of these.
They do.
And he talked to the director of the operation down there, and he said, summertime standing room only.
Yeah.
It's totally opposite what I would thought might be, people maybe not wanting to get on it, but it's just even more enjoyable and more popular. And true to connect our communities, because we've talked about that for a long time. So it's just really such a positive thing. And I've already had 2 of like our major restaurants down in the village ask, hey, could we pay to get advertisement on there? Rolling billboard up and down 24, this so easy to self-fund. And in my mind, that's, again, kind of a no-brainer. And soon.
Do you have the driver availability?
So it requires a CDL, so that's, you know, not all our drivers in general just require a chauffeur's license, but we do have one lady that we know has agreed to take it on, and she's a retired school bus driver, so she has all of her papers up to date, or certifications up to date, so she's the main one. We do have 2 other ones that also are available, but I did mention that to Rod and you to say that that might be a problem. We need to potentially have additional drivers because we have a limited amount, but this is a pilot program. I think we can make it go for now, and we'll probably have to maybe reach out and if it continues to find additional drivers.
I mean, that would be my only
Right.
concern, because everything else sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, Joe?
I too talked to Ron, and our goal, we would like to see the service run Thursday through Sunday. Because the families, it's a great time, it's very attractive, so we would like to hope the pilot program will go to that time, that point. I guess I don't know, what hours were we looking at on Thursday?
So Thursday was 4 to 9 and Saturday was 12 to 9 for just the pilot program. And then if we did get a great response from that, which I'm assuming we will, then we would look to expand it to multiple days then. I think starting with 2 and having it focused on event and then a Saturday is a great way to start. And with the driver and having 1 right now, I think 2 days is manageable.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, again, it'll be a big placemaking draw for both communities to have it all weekend, like the Pierre County Press. There was an article this weekend about the exciting and flashy communities of Royal Oak, Rochester, and Lake Orion.
Wow.
So, about how the Pier want to get lively, and they didn't put Oxford in there yet, but they will once they get things going here. So,
Right.
so it's well recognized in the area, and it would be a tremendous draw. And you know, the original plan was to run from Myers down, because a lot of people don't have transportation, and it was another aspect of it.
Yeah.
But that's again down the road, but see how it goes.
Right, with this loop, it's about 10 minutes each way, so it would just circle around.
Downtown
and,
to downtown.
I think originally it's gonna, like Oxford Bank in Oxford. And
Yeah, along those lines, right there.
And stop, just 2 stops, 1 in Oxford, 1 in Lake Orion for now, and just test and see
Where in
how it
Lake
goes.
Orion?
Molly had an idea. Do you know where she said?
Absolutely. I actually wrote it down.
Okay.
So the route will go from N24 to the stop at Shadbolt and North Broadway. The trolley will then take Broadway south back towards N24 with another stop near Children's Park.
So where was the
Oh,
first
2
stop?
stops.
That will be at Shadbolt and North Broadway there.
Which is
Uh,
what restaurant? What shop?
Oh, that will be right next door to, sort of by Broadway Embroidery, Fork and Pint, and then also Elizabeth Salon right there at Shadbolt and Broadway, as well as the Lake Orion DDA.
Okay, well, we don't have to nail all the details down at this time, but I think, I was on the NOTA board when the discussion initiated by Chris and with Lynn's support. We took a look at it 4 years ago, I guess.
4 or 5 years ago, yeah.
And-
5 years.
And we basically left it up to the DDAs at that time. If you want it and you're willing to pay for it, we would certainly consider it. So this time, everything has come together for you folks. And so hopefully NODA will take on the role of support and management of the vehicle, et cetera. Scheduling and all that, though, will have to be worked out with Lynn. And I think we do need a written agreement. And I think we should have, the usual hold harmless clauses, et cetera, if we have driver problems or there's an interruption in the schedule due to our operations. We want to make sure that going into it, we're not going to end up on the wrong end of the stick, so to speak.
Right.
Is
It's a formalized document.
Yeah.
Is the hourly rate $25.50?
It's a little bit higher than that from the rate, the increase, 26, did I send it to you?
26 roughly, yeah.
It's around 26,
Yep.
right.
And you
Per
did say,
hour driver.
It's our overtime rate plus 8% for our taxes, so we're covering everything, so it's kind of a little bit of a random
Yep.
number, but it's just covering our costs, right?
you're comfortable with the condition, or did you say that needed to be checked out yet?
They, Madonna and Smart had their maintenance crew review it this week, and it passed inspection, and they're getting a muffler remade. It's a Chance, it's a 1997 trolley, so it's an older trolley. Chance is out of business, so the manufacturer's out of business, so sometimes parts can be a little tricky to get. So they're working, but they've had to deal with this with Smart when they had it for 3 years, and Smart helped, or when the city of Troy had it for 3 years, Smart helped them with the repairs also, and so I think they know some ways to get around things and help, to get it done. So they're right now just getting the muffler done, and I think that's the last piece,
Yep,
as far as I
yep,
know.
and she said it checked out, and they are pretty picky about their safety precautions and things like that, and she said, we are good to go. And we just got that answer yesterday.
Right,
Great.
right.
Do you need a motion or anything?
Yeah,
to address?
I think we need a motion, and then any clauses or information that you feel should be included. Once the motion is made and seconded, we should get a list of that. So if you have a particular area that you want to make sure, be it hold harmless, indemnification, liability, whatever, let's make sure to get those into the motion.
Can I ask
If
a
we
question?
can, yes.
A question first. Does the driver have to be through NODA at all, like an actual NODA employee? Or, and I understand during the pilot, that's definitely the best way to go.
Right.
But is that something that we feel needs to be, if it's something the DDAs want to be doing 4 days a week, it might make more sense at that point in time for them to hire a driver, or would it need to go through NODA?
I don't think they would need,
Will it require a CDL?
it does
Yeah.
require
Yes.
CDL.
It does have a
100%.
CDL.
That's the main thing for me, is
Right.
just that.
A CDL driver, that's.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would suggest if we found somebody that was willing to drive and work those shifts, that they become NODA employees, that only work
I agree.
on that
Yeah.
route.
That's what I would say
I would
too.
say
Rob and I
transportation.
did talk about that. For me, it was more important to have the partnership. So
Yes.
I feel like if we did find somebody, I would bring them to you guys and then work it that way. I just think that's
I
the
think-
best
I
option
think
for
so
all of
too.
I
us.
think for insurance purposes, if no other,
Right.
that's the
Right.
only
Well,
way.
and the
Only
fact that
way
it's
we
multi-community,
Right.
it's more than one community.
Yeah.
And even the small
So
side.
I have a question, Mike.
Yes.
So will we have our attorney draw up the agreement?
That's what the motion should direct.
So the motion should include have our attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
Another question I have is, what's your time frame? I see you got February here, but.
So February 3rd starts Ice Fest.
First Thursday in
So
February.
we are looking to move this pretty quickly.
Couple of weeks.
And Smart does know that, and they said that the trolley will be ready.
So I'd like to make that motion, that we direct the attorney to a draft agreement that would include the hold harmless and indemnification clauses for review by the NODA board and acceptance at, I don't know, which is the timeline, next meeting or something.
That won't
Let me suggest something, Ken, to your
Sure.
motion. That we authorize the director upon receipt of said agreement to be empowered to authorize, to sign it on behalf of the
I'd
NODA
like my
board.
motion to reflect that.
That way, there's no need to call another meeting, as long
That
as,
should be a special meeting.
let's face it, Lynn knows the business, and she's gonna make sure that we get what we want. So, as long as we outline, and we have given a pretty good outline now of what the expectations are. So, continue with your motion then.
That pretty much is it, really, is to draft the agreement with proper amendments and so on and so forth,
Yeah.
and for
Finan-
acceptance.
And financial consideration as
Right.
well.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Board Member Van Portfleet and second by Mr. Flood to authorize, Joe, do you want to read what you have? Is it?
Yeah, the motion made by Ken Van Portfleet to authorize the attorney to draft an agreement with the trolley service between Oxford and Lake Orion as proposed by the DDAs, and to have the contract include the hold harmless indemnification, and authorize the director to sign the agreement.
Okay.
I would ask, though, that before she signs it, that she sends it to each of us.
Sure.
And,
And the agreements between Oxford DDA and
well,
NODA?
that's a good point there as well. We,
Is there
If-
a
if
way
there's
that
two
we can have
entities
the
that-
two lines for both the DDAs, just so we're all on the same page? Is that okay?
well, that's what legally, that's what I think we'll need to ask.
Okay,
You know,
perfect.
just from our point of view,
But
it's
either
it's no
way.
problem.
Or stronger together team, we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The end effect's the same. It's a
Yeah.
little, we don't mind a little paperwork. Lynn does it, so.
Yeah.
Easy for you to
Yeah,
say.
exactly. Okay,
Second by Mike.
so you got that in there then, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll ask for a roll call vote to approve the motion to enable the trolley, experimental trolley proposal as submitted. Yes, roll call, please.
McDonald,
Yes.
Brakefield,
Yes.
Flood,
Yes.
Van Portfleet.
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Wapo.
Yes.
Felch.
Yes.
Burjo.
Yes.
We'll mark that unanimous.
You bet.
Working together, okay. All right, that's all we have on that. We'll move on then. As Lynn noted, is there a desire on the board's part to change the date of our February meeting from February, what was it, Lynn?
17th to the 10th? I mean, I'm flexible.
Same time.
Same time, if that works, the weekend. week
What day of the
before.
week is that?
It's a Thursday
Oh,
at
it's
4:30.
Thursday. Oh.
It's just a week early.
My calendar's open, so I'm
Okay.
good.
I can't make it, but I'll make sure Barnett's here.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
I have a procedure that day too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, good luck, both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion then to change the date of the February NODA meeting from its regular date to February 10th, at the same time and place?
So moved.
Support. Support Burjo.
Right. I guess a vote on that, everybody understands it, all right? Okay, can we have a voice vote, all in favor of the motion, change the meeting date to February 10th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Lynn, would you make that change and then send it to each participating community so that they can post it?
Oh, sure will.
Appreciate it. Right, motion carried. Note of ballot language. The ballot language has to be submitted by April 26th to the Oakland County Clerk. So therefore, each community is, each township is incumbent to get its language created or drafted and then get it approved and submitted. So Lynn, you want to follow up on that?
Yes, so I just included in the packet what we used last time, the ballot language, which all we have to do is decide, I have to get the new reduced Headley rate for next year, I guess. Assumes that's how they do it. I've only had to do this a couple times, so I'm kind of a novice at villages. But I highlighted that, you know, the dates, I think it's gonna, is it August 2nd is the date?
Yes.
Is it the that's correct, okay. And then It's just a matter of whether we want to, if we want to continue with the Headley rollback and get the new Headley rollback, which will be the reduced amount, or if we want to bring it up to the .25 mils. So that's the decision, the board, I just wanted to bring that up.
Lynn provided you information on that. If you look at the sheet for the NODA village calculation,
It looks like this with the yellow.
in red,
Yeah.
in red across the top.
Right, so on the second page, it shows kind of, if we don't, if we keep it as it is.
If we don't go Headley
right, and
back
it just
and
continues to go
start
down.
where we are now, which is at a slightly reduced, it's like .2, well, she has it on there too as well somewhere.
Yeah, it's
I
right
saw it.
now, the effective rate right now is .2269. This blue sheet kind of shows the actual effective rate of where we're actually at. The actual millage is up here, .22, like .2339 for Orion, .2341 for Oxford, .2367. But then it gets reduced by the DDA captures and the captures from the CIA. So the actual effective rate is like .2269. So that's kind of shows what the actual amount that we're getting. And on the sheet, it shows if the difference between what we're getting this year, this would be 2021, versus if we made it whole at .25, it's about 50,000 extra a year. So, it's just something for the board to consider, and understand going for a millage, and it's a tax increase, right? Even though you're it's not a renewal, because renewal, assumes that you would just continue with the reduction of the Headley, not bringing it back up to the .25, and I know that that could be a potential issue. Running the numbers, we don't have a huge underage, like what I did is I assumed that the tax value in each community would increase by 4%, that was the estimate that I took to run the numbers, and then I increased payroll by 2% and other costs by 3%, that's kind of the general cost factor, and just forecasting out. And we came up with an estimated shortfall in revenue, like for, not too much, between 25 and 34,000. So it's not a huge amount. Me just being conservative, just like to present it to the board so you guys can make a decision on what you want. There's a lot of things, as far as estimates, I didn't change any of the revenue. I estimated our grants at 225,000. That's obviously not guaranteed, we don't know that, but we've been really fortunate. I don't know if that's gonna continue. TTI has been wonderful, obviously that's 200,000, we don't know of if for sure if it's gonna continue. Those are just, I think it's safe to estimate it because historically we've been receiving it, but obviously it's something that we can't rely on 100%. So just wanted to present this to the board just so they know, and whatever decision you make, I'm comfortable either way. I just think it's important for the board to be.
Well, the thing is all the communities have to be on the same page.
Right.
I don't think it would be right for Orion to say we're gonna go for .25, and Addison or Oxford saying we're gonna just leave it where it is. I think we have to present the same proposal to the people of our service area. So it kind of falls to us to make a recommendation at this point to the township boards on what we would think they would like to levy. Now, they could have feedback and say we don't want to.
Right.
We'd have to be open to that. I don't think February would be too late to have that conversation.
No.
As long as they're working on getting the language drafted.
Right.
Yeah, I front-loaded my board Tuesday night that this is coming.
Yeah.
This is on our docket, this meeting, so.
Yeah, did you indicate it as a renewal, or is it
Well, I said it would be a renewal.
2.25?
No, I didn't tell them.
Okay.
Just made them aware that it's coming. I think the faster we get them to our boards, the better.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll take a
Mike,
chance.
We're going over our budget now, as you know, in next month. And I believe, if I remember right, we did the Headley on all of the police, the fire, and NODA, and all of that. So we left it to Headley.
So you left it at where it is.
That's what we did our budget this year, too.
Okay, too.
We kept it what it is right now.
Well, does anybody have an idea for what kind of direction we want to give then?
Well, I'd like to see it go to keep those 2.25 at least.
You mean start out where we are now?
Yeah.
Or go back to .25?
Go back to .25.
You wanna do a heavily override,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what you do.
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's a new millage, so it's not technically an override, it's just
Well,
a
on-
renewal millage.
It'd be
We're
renewal.
resetting it back where it was
Well,
before.
that's considered an override when you reset your millage back to the original. yeah.
And this is the problem you run into, and that's why Lynn was right to bring it back before us, because how the public perceives it, you know, it's renewing every time you adopt your new budget, it's a tax increase. They call it a tax increase, but it's, even if everything's the same. So
Right.
it's just, you have to be real careful of the wording.
Well,
Well, it sounds like one of three, of course, I don't know.
the thing we have to concern ourselves with is, you know, the inflation rate and what, you know, it's been tremendous in the last year. And, you know, is there an end in sight? Is this gonna go away? And it's nice to build in a 4% increase on possible taxable values, but, you know, I don't wanna say it in public, but, you know, I would not say
Well, you
that
are.
Oxford is maybe, yeah, I know. Turn it off for a minute.
No, that's a board meeting, what do I say?
The point, I think
have
the
some
point's
concerns
taken,
with
Marty.
that.
Yeah.
I have some concerns with that.
Well, we can certainly have consensus here on what we should do, and then see what the feedback is from the townships when we make the
Right.
recommendation. So, anybody that feels that it should be proper language, Joe, if we want to go back to .25, what will the township have to have on what the township has to have on the ballot language is different than if we stay where we
Exactly.
are.
Well, we can't call it a renewal if we
Nope.
go back to.
No.
That's why they call it
0.25.
override. Sometimes I see it,
Are you
two ballot
sure about
proposals
that?
too.
Right.
Are you sure about
You
that?
can do it in one or two. I've seen
Override's
that.
different than renewal.
Right, but if we are currently rolled back, and we're asking for .25, I mean, our original millage was for .25, and we're asking for .25 again, we can't call it a renewal?
No,
No, it's a tax increase.
it's a tax increase. Your renewal is your
Well,
current language.
I get another
The headley,
suggestion
which is
to consider.
I-
What about setting the rate at .23 everyone? So you're gonna reduce it slightly, very slightly, because we have we originally, when I was here, we originally went through this ballot initiative. We said that we would only levy to the extent that grants weren't gonna cover our cost. Well, our grants have done us well, and our fund balance is over 100%. And I don't think we're following through on what we intended when we said, we're not gonna levy the max, we're gonna levy the amount that we're short. And so I think if we went in saying we're going at 2.23, it is a reduction from the current rate. That'll go over much more favorably. And then you do need to look at what are our plans for that $1 million+ in there. We should at least be paying for capital outlay out of it, because that's what it should be. And
we will.
and reduce the tax rate even further,
If
the actual
we
tax rate.
do this, if we do what, as you suggest, we will be using the capital reserves of NODA. There's no question.
I know we have a big thing
And
with.
depending on what things come
Circumstances,
out.
if
Based on the
I-
projections, I understand it, but we have a significant fund balance of $50,000 is not gonna make or break NODA.
Right.
And it would go well to say we're renewing it with a reduction. And it's only just.
Or we can really keep it simple and just say renew it. And that way, everything
But
starts out
everybody
where it
different
is
rate.
right now.
But it's a different rate for everybody then. Each
Well, it
conversation.
is.
Well, because of our taxable values.
Yeah,
But that's a conservative estimate too. I bet you you're conservative, because I think it's gonna, we might hit the max on our Headley this year at 5%. Because inflation
Max.
doesn't go
Well,
down when
the
they,
Headley rate's 3.3%. The CPI increase for this year
Is
is
it
3.3, so we
Okay.
didn't hit the max.
So it hit the max.
It might next year.
I gotta say, yeah, exactly. But in 5 years' time, this is a 5-year renewal, right?
Right.
Right.
It's gonna keep coming down because our tax
Oh,
value
yeah.
keeps coming up, so
Right.
we're gonna get below that 2.3 eventually, in a
Yeah,
couple of years.
Of course.
Okay.
It's gonna reduce itself automatically,
So it might just
as
be.
long as we don't have a
introduced
housing,
into renewal.
crash like we had before.
Just keep it.
Which is
It's always a
somewhat
possibility.
predicted.
We can get a feel of this thing. I'd like to, I go along with Joe's that we make the millage rate of .23 across the board.
I agree.
I like the idea of just going for a flat out renewal. And because
Yeah, just-
you're more likely to pass the millage by just saying renewal.
Don't confuse the voter any more than they already are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's why.
I think a renewal is, like you said, Marty, it's a lot easier.
It's easier, people, you know,
Well,
people are
let's-
more apt to, oh, it's not gonna
Can we
change
hear a
my
motion?
my
Can I
payment,
hear a motion
Yes.
to do that?
you know.
Which one?
Did you hear that?
Do I hear a motion to, for a renewal rather than?
You can't do that. I've
I'll
already
make
made a
that
motion,
motion.
and there's a second.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
Oh, which
Mike
was
said
it?
second.
Where was I?
Ken,
Who
second.
said second? Ken? You said.
I'm asking the same thing, where was I?
I'll make the motion to keep
make
it,
to
to
as
involve
a
across the
renewal.
board. Somebody said I second it.
Okay.
Oh, I thought
Oh,
you just.
I'm sorry, you said you agree with Joe?
Yeah.
And that was your motion?
Yeah.
Oh,
You didn't
oh,
put
I
it in the
agree with
form of
it.
a
I'll
motion.
second that.
Oh,
Okay, I missed that. I'm
I
sorry.
missed that too.
Who made a motion? Mr. Braketon. Mr. Van Portfleet seconded it.
I will to
To
do
go
that,
for
or
a.
to do the .2339.
Not a renewal,
To do.
not a renewal,
Well,
this is not a
it's a
renewal.
renewal at a reduced rate.
Then it's not a renewal,
It's
it's
not
a
a
new
renewal.
mill, it's a millage.
It is
at a-
renewing the millage.
Well, let's call it to continue the.
Continuation.
To continuation, for our language. They're gonna have to implement proper, that's why we have to get them the information as soon as possible, because they have to have attorneys, their attorneys make sure the millage language is correct to state law, so we're basically recommending the continuation of the existing millage as it is now at the heavily reduced rate.
Rate, .23.
Is everybody with us? Understand that?
That
It
what we're
won't
doing?
show
Well, that's a
as
item on
a
the agenda.
renewal though, right? Is that, I mean, explain to me what everyone's saying here. He's saying that it's
It-
not
it-
technically a
when we-
renewal
When we
then.
get our ballots, it will not be called a renewal because it's a different amount.
I think it makes it, even though it's a
Technically, it's a
reduction,
reduction.
I don't,
Right.
will it say reduction on it?
No.
I mean, it's
No.
not gonna say that, it's just
It'll
gonna
say
say
a
we're
millage-
asking for a
will-
millage of .23.
Do you agree to, you know, to the North Oakland Transportation Authority to
Right.
levy, or that the Oxford Township can levy for NODA, this millage, this point, what are you saying, .23 is what you're going
Yeah,
for?
my concern is just the uneducated, you know,
Well,
On
in the marketing
experience.
of it, it can always be said as a reduction,
Yeah,
and when you're questioned about it.
Because it originally was .25. We're
Right.
not asking for it to go back to .25. We're asking for it to continue at the Headley level that it is set at right now.
it's actually lower than the Headley.
It is.
Yeah, yes.
So it's
Would we
actually
better just doing
That's-
the.
Yes,
I
we
think-
would.
We
and-
got a
I
motion on the
think
floor,
it'd be-
let's
We
take a
gotta
vote
vote
on
it.
it,
We
let's see
gotta
how
vote
it
this
goes.
down.
Yeah,
You're reducing
Well,
more?
I think it'd be more confusing.
I think
Isn't
it
there
is
a
good.
psychological aspect to saying it's a renewal?
Yeah,
Where people
there
are
is.
like, oh,
There
this
is.
is the same price maybe,
Yeah.
instead of,
That's a lot.
even if it's at a lower price, they might not understand that, which
Because it
is what
sounds
you're
right,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are the
We're talking
current
pennies.
rates?
Current rates are .2339 for Orion.
No, I thought why does this one say 2405?
Where?
On your
This
battle
is-
language.
That was from,
that was
back
from
5
the
years
old-
ago.
that was 5 years
original.
That was 5 years ago.
Previous bill.
You gotta look at this piece.
Yeah, this is.
I'm
this-
looking at that.
Yeah.
just wondering why this-
No, that
this
was-
has-
That was
That
a
was-
has the
sample.
October
It was just a
22nd
sample.
here, August.
Right, I changed that date just to make sure, but I didn't know what the rates were gonna be for next
those
year.
have gone
That's- I
down.
just highlighted.
Oh, I
I
see.
said these are gonna have to change, so.
We don't know what their
We
actual rates are.
don't, we don't know. This is what, for 2021, Orion is .2339, Oxford is .2341,
Yeah,
Anderson is
no,
.2367.
Exactly.
So .23 would be a reduction from what we even have now, so,
We're gonna get reductions in this.
Still,
you know, so to me, just doing a renewal would get us more than what, the .23 would be.
I would call for the vote.
Yeah, I call for it.
Okay, point of order, vote's been asked for. All those in favor of the motion? Joe, what's the
Oh,
motion?
you on the roll call? Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do a roll call, but read the
The
motion. just
the
so-
motion is that the authorized, that the millage be set at .23 mils for the three jurisdictions for the millage renewal or extension, whatever the word is.
So that does not, that means that we're reducing,
Yeah, it's a reduction from that, what current Headley rate.
Right, we
or
get
what it
that.
will be.
I think we're all on board,
Yeah, we're-
we all
we
understand.
We know we're voting.
okay.
Yep.
So you know, if you go for that, you're actually cutting the amount of money,
Right,
not, okay. Okay,
It's a
I'll have a
renewal.
roll call.
it's
It's
not
not
a
No, it's not a
renewal.
renewal.
years.
Oh,
It's
okay.
This is the one you gotta vote.
No, this is because of motion,
This is the one you have to
We're
vote
reducing the
no
millage.
on.
Okay.
so, because this was a motion.
Not that I'm telling you how to vote on it.
This motion was on the floor,
Okay, Mark.
we've had discussion on the motion.
I didn't say it.
Now, if you don't like that idea and prefer a renewal, then we would vote no. If we want it to be lowered below where it is now, we would say yes for the motion. So go ahead, Joe.
Wakefield,
Yes,
Flood,
No.
and Porterfield.
Yes.
Payne,
No,
Wample,
No,
Kelch,
no.
Bordeaux,
No.
McDonald.
No.
now if I could,
okay,
Motion down.
I would, I'm sorry, go
if I
ahead.
can make a comment, in defense of Addison Township, it's based on the SEVs, isn't it? The
Yes.
taxable value.
Yes.
Correct.
We're farmers. We've got 2,000 people in our township. You guys have a few more than 2,000. What you guys are doing is trying to levy the same amount of money on our 2,000 people that your population can carry without a problem at all. It's heavy on us. That's all I'm saying. We're farmers. We have, our values are in pasture land and all this and one house and 80 acres. You guys have one house in a lot and a house in a lot of people to carry this. Please be considerate of that too. That little .3 helps Addison a lot. I've said my piece.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion, an alternate motion then?
I would move to renew, to take to each of the townships and villages a renewal of the note of millage
Support.
The reduced Headley rates.
at the reduced Headley rate.
I'll support the motion.
So we have a motion and support. Is there any questions on the motion? Everybody understand what it is?
So we're doing it to renew at the reduced rate.
Correct.
It reduced.
At the current-
At the current.
At the current rate.
At the
right.
current Headley
Which is on that little
reduction
blue
rate,
box.
yes.
Right.
Which is
will-
below the.
Which we don't know what it is yet.
We don't.
No,
Okay.
no. We
We'll
have,
know by the time they
To be
make
determined.
that.
Right.
right. But we are
Millage
saying,
at the current.
we are saying we're not gonna have a tax increase, and that's the
Right.
message
Right.
that we're trying to convey
Right.
by doing this,
Right.
correct?
All right.
Okay, if there's no questions on the motion,
Roll call. I mean, voice vote, I think.
you want a voice vote?
It's up to you.
It's probably the
You're
same
chairman.
thing. It's gonna be in a solid.
We'll do a roll call.
Okay, great. All right. It's time, Flood,
Yes.
and Porterfield,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes,
Wapple,
Yes.
Kelch,
Yes.
Bordeaux,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Wakefield.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I know that's tough, and it, believe me,
Very
it's,
stressful meeting.
a lot of us have dealt with these millage questions over the years, and it's very difficult. The way the state requires you to report things, it's changed a lot over the years, and it's not gotten easier, so, but thank you for hanging in there. Okay,
All right.
next item on the agenda is Auburn Hills potential interest. Lynn informed me that, and us, that they didn't have their meeting Monday, so they won't meet again until February, so.
Unless somebody
likely-
wants to talk about it, I'm not really sure what their true intentions are. They came out to visit, they really were impressed with our facility and operation, but they are currently with, like I said, with Smart, looking to possibly make a change. And they have a transportation committee put together, and I'm just not sure which, I don't know which way they're gonna go. I know she asked, in her emails, she said, oh, so we could join NODA at 0.25, and I said, well, no, I said, it's, that's what our community members do. I said, that would be something that the board would have to discuss and decide. And I said, in our past conversations, they, like when we had our brainstorming meeting and that, we kind of had these discussions about other communities, and I said, back then, they were open to possibly contracting out with other communities, but not possibly bringing them into the actual ownership or actually the board. And she said, oh, we have some concerns over that. I said, well, that's why we, these are just things, I said, I can't speak for the board, I just can tell you that's kind of the feeling I got from our past meetings. So I think that was part of what she was sharing with the committee, and I'm not sure what they're gonna come back with, so.
This is the city of
Auburn
Auburn
Hills,
And
yes.
you take 0.25 of their
Yes.
millies.
Yeah.
You'll be looking pretty
Yeah,
good.
they'd
Right,
have, they wouldn't need much.
Then we
of a
could
millage.
reduce it to 20%.
Yeah. Well, in any event, I think we would prefer a contractual relationship initially with the potential down the road of allowing them or bringing them in as a board member, any community, not just ours. Our intergovernmental agreement between the 3 townships includes that provision, so it's not like we haven't thought about this in the past, but it has to be the right fit. And that's what we're all very good at looking out to make sure we have that.
So no additional information at this time, we're going to just wait.
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right, moving on, we have very patriotic and proposal for a flagpole. Is this just the flagpole then, or is this gonna be like landscaping and a flagpole?
This is just the flagpole. I just know that we need to also incorporate some landscaping, if it's something we wanna do. We've got dead bushes in the front, we just need to freshen it up.
Yeah, we need to look a lot nicer out
It
there.
looks, it just never happened last year, but, we moved in COVID and all that stuff. But we would like to put some money into doing some changes at the front, and then possibly incorporating the flagpole, which again would be paid for from the money that we're receiving from the memorial, which is great.
So do you have a recommendation for which flagpole? The height?
There's was it 25 foot and a 30 foot, I think is what, yeah.
You look
this-
out the window
Hey,
here.
Mike, yeah, we've got a visual right there.
Look at this right here.
Right,
You
There's
got a
30 and
30-footer in the
25.
middle and 2 25s beside it.
okay,
Oh,
oh.
A perfect
yeah.
example.
Oh, look at that, thank you.
So after looking at that, I'm kind of favoring the 30 foot.
That's
It would
what-
look kind of odd, a smaller
Right,
one.
I agree.
So,
We're gonna have it lighted.
I was gonna say,
I-
does
that was
include
just what I was
lights?
gonna ask.
If you fly at night, you gotta have a light on it.
Right, well,
I thought
we
that
have to
regulation
have,
changed.
It
I've
did.
been told.
It's no longer required.
Oh, did it change?
Yeah.
Well, but in practice,
It's
everybody
nice to
likes
have.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're,
I have a solar
why,
on mine.
yeah, why fly a flag at night if you're not gonna
Yeah.
see it?
Is it too lazy to take it down?
But you normally you do see with a light, most of them lit.
I think it's the proper thing.
I think it is
I do
too.
It's
too.
just
I
not
think most
required by
people
law
think-
anymore.
Yeah,
solar light
but
is
we
not
are a
that
government
expensive.
entity, and we should, if we're
So-
gonna fly it at night.
Right.
So the flag person said that he hasn't had good luck with solar. It gets dirty and it doesn't always work. He said, but I don't know, you'd have to call an electrician to get a price on that. So I have no idea what that cost would be. So, we could obviously do
So
some
you're gonna
research
t-
as
you're
part
gonna-
of the like landscaping deal. We'll go have some cost with that.
You
so.
gonna take the flag down every night, Lenny?
Just like
I
they
think we're
do
gonna
at
need a
school,
quote.
just like they do at school.
Why don't we include that as part of the
Yes.
landscaping?
Okay.
You got power out there to your side, you got a light
Power,
inside.
we have, yes, we
You
do.
just,
Oh, if the power's
should be.
already there, then
Feed
it
it right off the-
shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah,
I don't think
We
so.
could probably get somebody donated to put the wire in.
Yeah.
that would be nice.
yeah.
We just need a motion to continue to get pricing for a 30-foot pole.
Well, I think we've got, we just need to authorize that, and tell the donor what we would prefer,
Mhm.
correct?
Right, they want a little plaque.
Yeah, so they're gonna pay for it, so I'll make a motion to recommend to the donor a 30-foot height pole. And we need to investigate lighting though, correct, because they're not gonna pay for that. And
Right.
landscaping.
That's gonna be part of the landscape quote. Mike's currently looking at landscape quotes right now.
Great.
Coordinate that
Given
together
that
somehow.
part. Yes.
Okay, we have a motion for 30-foot
Second.
proposed, and Margie said second.
Should we put the amount of money in there, or don't worry about that? Not to exceed.
The donation, right?
It's a donation, so.
As a donation from.
Oh, they're gonna cover the whole cost?
Of the pole and flag, I assume, maybe.
I understand.
Is this flag, is it going to be,
Say it looks cheap.
what's
That's
the
what-
word I want, to scale with a pole? I mean, is it gonna be big enough?
5 by
It looks like a
8.
small flag.
There's two sizes.
Well, you go 4x5.
There's a 4x6 or a 5x8.
I know.
And it includes
But
flag
recommendations
service.
to include 5x8.
Yeah, 5x8 on
To
that
get it
30-footer.
Right
Now,
Um,
I got a 4x6 on my 25, which is perfect.
So in my motion, I recommended to include recommendation of 5x8.
Okay.
now, does this include installation
Yeah, installation's included.
in their bid?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
And then there's
thought
a
I read
annual
that.
flag service.
If you, now, the
program.
flag manufacturers recommend changing flags quarterly, so that's why the price is $285 annually. But-
Which includes the
but
flag replacements.
they- And, do we need that? I mean, most municipalities just buy a flag when they need one, and
Yeah, I don't know.
you don't need to,
Yeah,
you don't
we
need
don't
this.
need-
If they
yeah,
wanna
we
pay
need
for the
to
service,
Right.
that's one
Or you
thing.
could just pay, each one is $65,
Yeah.
so you could just pay
Right.
for it.
I would just request that you keep a close eye on the flag. There's nothing worse than seeing a ripped up flag
Right.
fly.
Right.
Right.
You can go on the internet, get yours from like US Flag or American Made, and they got discounts there all the time. That's where I buy mine all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to accept the donation of a 30-foot flagpole with a 5x8 flag from the donor who we, do they want to remain anonymous, or is that?
It's on the quote,
Oh,
isn't it?
Oh.
Nigel Barnett?
Oh, no, that's the driver that looked into it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not funded.
He's not the
Oh,
one
okay.
funding it, no.
well, we'd like to make sure that we
Regular.
yeah.
Do we need to include something about allowing them to put the plaque up? You said they wanted to put a
Oh, plaque.
memorial
Yeah.
plaque with
Any
it?
problem with
Yes.
adding that to the motion?
I'll amend my motion to include placement of a memorial plaque.
Margie, you
And I
okay
have
with that?
been my support,
Okay, that's good.
my second.
Okay, Joe?
Yes.
All right. There's no money here,
It's like the millage.
the donation, so I think I'll just ask a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion to accept the donation of a 30-foot flagpole with a 5x8 flag and plaque in recognition of the donors, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, motion carried. Is there any public comments? Hearing none. Boards received the monthly rider and mileage reports. Is there a motion to receive?
So moved by Flood.
Second?
Okay. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion to receive and file the monthly rider and mileage reports, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Board member comments? Ken? Any?
Yeah, I have one. With the most recent fire in the village of Lake Orion, we had 8 residents displaced. And I wanted to thank NODA for their assistance, their response to immediately provide some rides if people needed them, and support for the residents. And so, thank you.
Great to hear. Thank you. Martin?
Nothing.
Mike?
Nothing today.
Okay. Lori?
Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Anya?
That would be great to have some PR to show that NODA helped in that way, because it would show the worth of NODA beyond trips to medical appointments and commitment to the community.
We'll make sure we contact Lynn and talk to her a little bit, but we'll do that on our end, you bet. Thank you.
Yeah, and maybe get some quotes from the people, because that, sometimes when you hear from the individual and you have a quote, it kind of makes it come alive, I think.
Right.
Joe, anything?
I'm good.
Okay, I just want to give the board a heads up. I've spoken to Lynn about it, and we're taking a look at the bylaws. They're outdated a little bit, so I hope to bring that back to you next month for a review and revision, just on how the board operates. It hasn't been reviewed in a while, so I just want to.
We have to do two readings on that and all that kind of stuff like that?
No, these are internal bylaws, they're not,
Oh.
it's not an IGA. However, one of the things we might want to consider is how our votes are carried out, as far as if we're missing a member community doesn't have a rep, things like that. So we'll talk about that then, but I wanted to let you know, okay? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Come on, support.
Any opposition?
We're fast.
We're done. We're done. Sorry for the long meeting.
Start supporting before the motion.